Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for September 15, 2024. We're going to be doing our final Week 2 NFL picks against the spread video. Before we intro our special guest for tonight, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be really appreciated. As you can see here, we have a ton of shirts. Actually, let me refresh this because we had some great sales. We had like a flash sale on here. A few days ago, it was like $15 or $16 a shirt. It's now like 17 to 19, which is still a good price, I think. But yeah, I mean, these are high quality shirts. You can buy them to help support the site. As you can see here, I am wearing one of them. I wear these shirts all the time. I don't joke about it. Yeah, it looks like actually one shirt is missing. They took off our apron because usually there's one at the bottom here. So I have to kind of figure out what that is. Hopefully it's not our Lust Month. Yeah, Lust Month is still there, even though I think it's probably the most offensive one if you kind of like look at it, or maybe Pedo Pete. But yeah, you can get, or maybe Biden pooped his pants. Yeah, you could get all these shirts here at the WalterFootball.com merch store. Also, please consider super chats, super stickers. Like I always say, YouTube ads pay absolutely nothing. They're paying like a little bit more now that it's the football season. So like instead of 61 cents for a super chat free episode, we get like 75 cents. So, big upgrade there. So yeah, if you guys really want to help support the show, like Slew, John Sanders, Cam Meek and Eagle have done recently or in the past, Degeneron, Kevin Kovac, Germ, you guys have been so awesome. Yeah, all that would be really appreciated. Also, you can go to Amazon, buy my books. My third book that I released earlier this year is Jerks of the College Years. As you can see, a lot of weird people here that I made fun of at Penn State. So if you like the sort of humor, you could buy this book and check it out. Or if you're looking for a more serious book, I wrote this expose, how the 2020 MVP was stolen. It's about how Brett Favre tried to sabotage Aaron Rodgers during his 2020 MVP season. So, yeah, Brett Favre's been up to no good ever since he retired. So this is another story that you guys may not have heard of. It's a wild tale, let me tell you this. So you can maybe consider that as well. So without further ado, we are joined by Quacky T, Tom making his appearance here on Saturday instead of Thursday. But Tom is celebrating a huge win, his Y2K special victory. So Tom, how's it going?
That's right, Walt. I mean, I know we have some games that that went sideways for us, but I've been looking at that Eagles game for 2.5 months or so, and those of you been following, put respect on my name for the Quacky Feelings plays. You know that when I'm looking at them that far ahead of time, they're usually going to be good. So I was pumped. That was a game I'll remember for a long time. A buddy of mine, we went out to watch the game. And we were, he took the Eagles as well, and of course I did. And wow, that was my heart can't handle it. But I thought the Eagles were going to win much more handily, as I had previously expressed. But regardless, got the job done. I was glad and always happy to give a winner I feel strongly about to the Walter football family. So
yeah, it was a nice win. It was a weird game because players were slipping and sliding the entire game in the first half. I almost tweeted, I'm looking forward to NFL on Ice coming to America. It was such a weird game where they were like slipping and sliding. So I don't know like how much you could take out of the first half, but yeah, the Eagles took care of business in the second half to cover the spread for us. So congrats on the win, Tom. That was a nice one. I had a smaller bet than you did, but I did have a bet on the game as well. So yeah, it was a nice way to start the season, especially after getting the Chiefs game right too. Yeah, Patrick has just finished a Spartan race this morning, and to think my weekend only gets more stressful from here watching the game. Giants fan. Well, yeah, we'll have something on this Giants game. The Giants actually made my super contest card, so after careful consideration. So we'll see if Tom agrees to that pick. So yeah, let's get to the games here. So the first one is the Raiders at the Ravens. This line has dipped to 8. It was up to 9.5. Actually, there was like a 10 for a brief moment. So the Sharps took care of that. The Sharps have been betting the Raiders all week. And I love the Raiders as well. I think this line's too high. I think Lamar Jackson, it's going to be like really, really struggling behind this offensive line, this missing 3 players against the Raiders defensive front. I don't think Baltimore's defense is what it's cracked up to be either. It was great in the past, but they're missing a lot of pieces that they've had in recent years, and they haven't really replaced them all that well. So I think this should be a close game. Gardner Minshew went into Baltimore last year and beat them. So I don't know if that's going to happen again, but I think it's going to be close. For a player prop, I'm going under Derrick Henry rushing yards, 74.5 on FanDuel. Derrick Henry, I think, is washed up. I feel like this is almost too easy. We went under on Henry in week 1, and we won. We're going to do it again with washed up running back behind three missing offensive linemen from a year ago. So yeah, I like the Henry under as well. But yeah, Raiders plus 8.5, plus 8, whatever you can get now. I like that a lot. So what do you think of this game?
Yeah, I really like the Raiders here as well. Just real quick on that, the under, I would say I like the under Henry rushing as well. But the Raiders defense did give up some bigger runs, some bigger plays against the Chargers. So I do like it, but I might be slightly hesitant on that. But let me tell you something about the Ravens. By the way, you know what that Isaiah Likely play reminded me of? Remember Kevin Durant in Game 7? What was that, 2021 against the Bucks? When he hit that shot and it was a 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember I actually placed a bet on that game, a prop bet. It was like, will Kevin Durant score a go-ahead field goal with less than 10 seconds? I'm not joking. A go-ahead field goal with less than 10 seconds to go, and there was like 3 seconds left, and that it was like 80-1. I think I put like $20 on it because I was like, no way is this. But anyhow, sorry, that's besides the point. I don't know. What was really what's crazy is that they almost won that game, but really, like, some of those throws Lamar was missing, that was pretty bad. And you know what really stuck out to me? That, like, Justin Tucker missed a field goal. And I know it's just like anything can happen, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't think the Henry situation is going to work out the way people think it's going to. Like, Lamar's missing some pretty easy throws, in my opinion. I mean, but what do I know? I just play video games on the internet. But then, like, I don't know. Maybe I put a little more stock into it than I could. But, like, even Justin Tucker is missing a field goal. I don't know. It just, like, it just has, like, overtones of, like, this season won't be what people think it might be for them. Yeah. The Raiders had a comedy of errors too. I think that, like, what was that? Remember that Gardner Minshew was like a throw fumble? Like, what was that even? And that, like, and any chance they had at a backdoor cover, there was a batted ball for an interception in the third quarter with like 9 minutes to go. They fumbled. But, other than some big plays, the Raiders defense, like, they were giving the ball away and were holding the Chargers to field goals or off turnovers, or they had, I think they had like a really nice run, maybe for like 50 plus yards or so. That they still held them to a field goal. So I don't know, that Chargers Raiders game kind of played out the way I thought it would, but I like the Raiders here, and I know they're we already have them on our card as well for the Super Contest.
Yeah, glad to hear it. Patrick says, I hear Goodell saw the Brazil game and is ready to play in Yemen next year. I think I'm going to, like, make it my mission to have Goodell be forced into playing a game in Ukraine next year or something. Just because, like, I want to make it, I'm just, like, keep tweeting at Goodell and be like, Goodell doesn't care about Ukraine. He doesn't want to give them a football game, and just, like, guilt him into it.
Oh, my God.
Maybe like in the middle of a war zone. But that'd be awesome. I hope Goodell hates me. He hates my guts. He's banned us from the combine. So that would be great. Anyway, next game, Chargers at the Panthers. This line was also taken down by the Sharps. It was 6. I think there was 6.5 as well at one point. Now it's down to 5, even 4.5 in some places. So I felt like I was on an island by myself on the Tuesday show when everyone is yelling at me about the Panthers. But the Sharps like the Panthers as well. I am on them here for 2 or 3 units. I haven't made up my mind yet. The Chargers have some injuries that should be mentioned. For example, Joey Bosa, it doesn't look like he's going to play. Alohi Gilman and Jusir Taylor, like 2 starters in the secondary, probably going to be out. Joshua Palmer's banged up. Doesn't seem like he's going to go. So the Chargers are not at full strength. I don't think they're a good team. Now they're playing on the East Coast, early start time. I know Jim Harbaugh's actually done well in in that scenario, but that was with a different team when they were coached by him for a while. So it remains to be seen how the Chargers are going to do in that role under Harbaugh. But still, it's still a tough spot here as a big favorite against a Panthers team that has done well at home, which they got blown out a couple times last year, but they beat Atlanta, they beat Houston, which is really impressive. They almost beat the Packers late in the year when the Packers were hot. They almost beat the Buccaneers, who went on to beat the Eagles in the playoffs. And they almost beat the Saints in week 2. Like 5 of their home games last year were nearly wins, so or actual wins. So the Panthers have done well in this situation. So I think this is probably going to be a field goal game. I think the Chargers are going to win by 3. So yeah, I like the Panthers here. Curious about your thoughts on this game, Tom, because we took a bath last week on the Panthers.
Yeah, and sorry about that one, guys, because I really that's I will say one of the bigger surprises I've had in a while. Like every now and then you get a game that goes sideways, but I mean, I guess we get one a year. We had one of the 70-20 game last year. So like you get like one a year, but I just didn't think that would happen in that spot, but hey, that's how it goes. So, I will say about the Chargers, despite them winning and covering, with the aforementioned analysis if you call it analysis from the last game, they did show that they'll squander some opportunities. However, the Panthers had 8 drives in that game against the Saints that had single digit or negative yards. I really it's just like nothing went right. Absolutely nothing went right. So why do I like him? I don't know. I still like him in this spot. I just don't think that the Chargers are that impressive either, and I think this could be a bit of an overreaction. But the reason I'm probably not going to pull the trigger on any bet is just because they literally, Aton made a good point in our phone call. It's like, okay, like Bryce Young will bounce back, but like what is he bouncing back to? We're kind of hanging our hat in a way on like what we think is like, okay, like, here's his potential. So like, and I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit because I would like most teams in this spot with this line at home, interconference on the road for the Chargers. I don't think their week 1 win was as impressive as others might think. So, but that's what's keeping me is the Panthers didn't show me anything that looked positive, but I still do like him in this spot. So
glad you're on board here. I agree with what Aton said. Like, what is he bouncing back to? I said on Tuesday that all he needs to do is this is like a tough ask for him, but all he needs to do is be like a 4.5 out of 10. Like, we're not even asking him to be a good quarterback, which is slightly below average, and they can cover the spread in this game. Just
I don't know, below average.
Right.
That's my motto.
Right. It's a good way to go through life. Don't quite me expectations.
Oh, geez, I'm gonna get canceled. Let's keep it rolling. What do we?
Okay, dude. What I went through this week just proves no one associated with me can't be canceled. Like it was ridiculous. We had so many like weirdos coming on the show Wednesday. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't stick. I lost like 40 Twitter followers this week. This meant nothing. Like it doesn't like it all. It doesn't matter what I say on Twitter anymore. Like a few like people get angry, but it doesn't matter at all. So it says Chargers would have to play in Ukraine with their it's a good point. It's a tough schedule though for an LA team to go to Ukraine. But yeah, I agree. I think they would have to be the team. I am gonna tweet at Goodell a few times, be like, why don't you care about Ukraine? Like, you're not gonna play a Ukrainian game. That just says I can honestly say I will not take the Panthers plus 14 if you're safe about it. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, what is the number where you would feel safe with the Panthers? Like, if you were forced for some reason to like put your house on the Panthers, like at gunpoint, you had to. At what number? And it had to be like the lowest number possible, like where it's not too high. Like what is that number? Is it 21? Are you still feeling safe at 21? Because I'm not. It's a 28, 35. Is they lost by 37 last week.
Yeah, But at the same time, I just feel like this could be a spot. Like I said, I think it's like almost any team in this spot. I really like, but the Panthers just that was. I hate games like that. We had 2 games like that. I mean, the Giants were another one where the game is over before it even freaking begins. You know,
there were a lot of blowouts last week. There really were. Like, yeah, we were on the wrong side of 2 of them, but yeah, there was also Tampa, Washington. There was Cleveland, Dallas. There were several of them as well. You know, So anyway, Kimmy Gingle says, with Harbaugh wanting to run the ball, isn't the over rushing yards for Dobbins a no-brainer? I thought so, but I was looking at the stats and like Dobbins, I think he either had 1 fewer or 1 more rushing attempts than Gus Edwards, and I was thinking, like, what if they want to feed the ball to Edwards instead of Dobbins? And I know Dobbins had the much better game, so it makes sense to go to him. But I thought maybe they go to Edwards instead. So I originally had this as a bet, but like at the last second, I was like, I just took it off. But I was close to betting it, so you can definitely do it. Matthias asking, Quacky, should I take a Survivor? I took the Saints last week. Who do you like?
Oh, well, we're going to get into that with the very next game here, I think, on the slate, Matthias. Okay. And congrats to your Vikings too. That was, yeah, like I just said, that one was over before it ever began, really.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Kyle asking ATN/Ford, pick one full PPR. Well, ATN and Bigsby had the same number of carries last week, and this is the toughest matchup possible for ATN. Cleveland had the number 1 run defense in the NFL last year, whereas so I think that's pretty tough. Whereas Jacksonville, I think they're tougher against the run than the pass, so it's not great for Ford. But I think I would go with Ford if Jack Conklin is available. So check out the inactives list before the games. So if Conklin is active, I would go Ford. If Conklin's inactive, then I think the Browns are going to have issues blocking again. So I think I would go ATN, but it is pretty close.
I'll go with, I mean, put much more stock in what Walt says than what I say. But I'm going to go with ETN here. I mean, if Ezekiel Elliott scores a touchdown on the Browns, I think ETN's going.
Yeah, that's true.
Only based on that. So listen to what Walt says before what I say on that.
Yeah, it was a mess of a game for the Browns. I thought the defense played pretty well, despite them giving up a lot of points. It was like 7 came off the kicker or the punt return, right. And the Browns gave them a lot of short fields. Like the Cowboys only had like 2 good drives in that game, whereas everything else was just Cleveland imploding offensively. Thoughts on alt lines parlay: Henry under 95.5, Pollard over 40.5, Rashad White under 70.5, Shaheed under 55.5. I that looks awesome. I think like any like teaser / thing, this is almost like a teaser. Looks great. All it takes is like one thing to fail, but like what if like Pollard gets hurt and it just doesn't go over? Kind of like we had a singing parlay for Lions Rams. And every leg hit except for Puka Nacua over receiving yards because he got hurt in the second quarter. Like otherwise, we had a nice parlay. So yeah, I mean, all it takes is like one thing to fail, but it does look good. That is something I would bet for sure. All right, next game is you alluded to it. Saints at the Cowboys. This line's been going back and forth between 6 and 6.5. Saints have some injury issues. Marshawn Lattimore didn't practice all week. Talis Fawaga is looking like he's not going to play, although he is traveling, but it sounds like he won't play. So with the Saints already like not a good team, especially with their offensive line, they're going to be down another lineman against a Dallas pass rush, which is so lethal. It's kind of crazy that Dallas, if Fawaga's out, Dallas is going to be playing 2 games against teams with no offensive tackles. They'll have faced 0 starting offensive tackles in the first 2 weeks of the season if Fawaga's out, which is crazy. So I think this is a great matchup for the Cowboys. Dallas is a team that just beats up on bad teams. They struggle against the good teams. They're exactly like Miami. Miami, it's funny, under Tua, they have 1 win against the winning team, and it's against Dallas from last year. So like these 2 teams are like exactly the same. We saw Miami on Thursday night really struggle against the Bills, but the Cowboys get an easy matchup here. Saints are, despite their win against the Panthers, they're just not that good. So I do like Dallas. I do worry about Dallas's offensive line too. That's one of the concerns I have, but I am betting them for a couple units. And as Patrick alluded to with Shaheed, I'm betting the under on Rashid Shaheed, 39.5 receiving yards, because Shaheed's a burner, and it requires for him to do well, it requires for Derek Carr to have protection. And in this matchup, he's just not going to have that protection. Like last week, he had no pressures. I think the Panthers hurt him twice, and it's going to be far different this time. So yeah, I like Dallas for a couple units here. What are your thoughts?
I like them a lot too, and Matthias, and they're probably who I would go with for Survivor this week. I really just I don't expect much out of the Saints at all this year, and I wonder if this, every week too, there's usually a team or two where the public overreacts like really hard, and I'm really surprised to see the line this low. Like, if you look at the Saints' upcoming schedule, I don't have it up, but like they could easily be 1-4 here. Like they have a very tough schedule. So it's like, let's say they played someone else instead of the Cowboys. If they were 1-4 and like Dallas like plays as well or close to as well as they did against the Browns in Week 1, like this line might be like 13. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand. To me, I think Dallas is too easy. So like that makes me slightly hesitant, but. I mean, that game was absolutely handed to the Saints. I mean, that's just not going to happen here. There were a couple times. This was just an observation. I'm not saying it's neutral. Off of two of the Carolina turnovers, there was an interception at the Carolina 40. The Saints went 4 plays for a yard, got a field goal, and then a fumble at the Carolina recovered at the Carolina 43. 7 plays for 9 yards. So. I don't know. Out of all the, even though they had a really strong offensive showing, they didn't capitalize off some of those turnovers there. That's like really the only negative thing I could say about that, because the Panthers were just that sucked to watch, man. That one really hurt. I thought I had that one pegged. So yeah. Here I am eating crow.
It's fine. I mean, you're gonna have some. We're all gonna have some games like that. I was pretty big on the Panthers as well, John. Saying this is last week and saying it again. Well, at the first quarter of Panthers game, WTF did I bet on the Panthers? Yeah, but like I said last year, he beat Atlanta at home. He beat Houston at home. Like he's done well at home. So maybe that's the secret to the Panthers. Take him at home. I've been asking Jaden Daniels versus Joe Burrow. I'm astonished you got Jaden Daniels in free agency in your league. That's crazy. I love Daniels. What any thoughts here?
Over Burrow? Yeah, I mean, I'd say I don't know. I'd probably start Daniels. I like the Commandos this week, so I might be biased, but yeah, I like Jaden Daniels there over Burrow this week.
Okay,
but I'm no fantasy wizard by any stretch of the imagination, so take it for what it's worth.
Okay, yeah, no, we agree on that one. Tampa at Detroit next game. Lions are favored by 7.5. This was 7, so it got pushed up. I think it was because of some concern with Tampa's injuries. Antoine Winfield's out, Luke Goedecke's out. But Tampa has some other good offensive linemen, so I don't think like one offensive line injury is going to be that painful for them. And I think Detroit has some more injuries that people should be concerned about. So Kirby Joseph, he's dealing with a hamstring injury, and Ifeatu Melifonwu is out. So they might be down. They're 2 safeties. Penei Sewell barely practiced this week. Marcus Davenport's been ruled out. This line team's banged up, and they're favored by a lot here. And I thought going into the week, when we did the Tuesday show, I was on Detroit. My thinking was you got matchup versus motivation. Like, which do you value more? Matchup, clearly, if both teams are healthy, to the Lions, because Tampa's secondary is bad. Detroit has a great passing attack. They beat them twice last year, once in a blowout, the other one by 8 in the playoffs. It just feels like the Lions have Tampa's number. So matchup clearly in favor of Detroit. Whereas motivation, you have Detroit coming off an overtime win, an emotional game against their former quarterback, and Tampa has playoff revenge. So, like, how do you balance the two? Like, that's why I had trouble handicapping this game. But now Detroit has injuries as well. Sewell's banged up and the safeties are out. Like, suddenly Tampa has a nice matchup here against the Detroit secondary. If Sewell's out, they're going to get a little bit of pressure on Goff. So yeah, I feel like the matchup edge is gone for Detroit for the most part. So I like Tampa for a couple units. As a player prop, I'm under Rachaad White, 45.5 rushing yards. He had 31 yards last week, and this is a similar type of matchup. Washington's good against the run. Detroit's even better against the run. DJ Reader is going to be back. So, and plus, like, Bucky Irving is starting to take carries away from Rachaad White, who's just not that good of a runner. So I like that a lot. So I switched my pick here to Tampa, and I'm on them for a couple units. What are your thoughts here?
One of my closest friends is a lifelong diehard Tampa Bay Bucks fan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been telling me all week that he thinks the Bucks are going to get absolutely destroyed in this game.
Okay.
So I was surprised to hear him say, I've known him for a while, and I was surprised to hear him say that. I don't hear him say that often about the Bucks. And I like the Lions here, actually. I mean, I know a lot of the stat I'm about to mention here like happened in garbage time too, but I mean, the Washington football team averaged 4.6 yards a carry against them. Like, I don't know. Like, do you think like Gibbs and Montgomery, like I just feel like there's a chance like they could run all over him. I'm very high on this Lions team. I don't know. I like the Lions here. I'm probably going to leave it alone, but I'll go Detroit, I'd say.
The Tampa usually has a good run defense. I know they were missing Logan Hall, one of their starting defensive linemen in that game, and it looks like he's going to be back. So maybe they're going to be better against the run. I really don't think Detroit's going to run that well against Tampa. Could be wrong, but I think that yards per carry thing was kind of a mirage. I don't think Washington ran that well on Tampa, like outside of Jen Daniels' runs. Right. Yeah, well, so I do like Tampa. I was on Detroit originally, like I said.
I don't think I'll touch this one, but I'll say the Lions for office pool purposes, etc.
Okay. Says in the league with 11 Kennys, and they only have one quarterback, so he was available. Okay. Kenny. Kenny's actually, he drafts quarterbacks late, but he likes to have a couple quarterbacks to play the best matchup. So, but he does take them late. Stanley says, "Hey, Walt or Quacky, I know Daniel Jones played bad, but I think he's going to bounce back against the Redskins because they have the worst secondary in the NFL, and Jones is 5-1-1 against them." Well, we're going to have a good breakdown on that game in a bit, Stanley. John says, I thought about the Bills against the Fish too. Sometimes you underestimate your own team. Sometimes, for sure. And just like you thought the Packers are going to get blown out by Philly.
Fair. At least, at least they still covered. But yeah, fair. I really thought that they would. So that's true. I was just making note that I have rarely heard my friend say this. So I thought that was of note to me as well.
You brought that up yesterday in our call. Did you get back to him because Detroit's had these injuries come out ever since?
Yeah, I guess I should ask him before the game tomorrow. Here, let me call him. I'm just kidding.
You're
live on the Walter Football After Dark show.
Right. Because I would have agreed with him on Tuesday and Wednesday, but like ever since these injuries came out, now I think differently. So
yeah. So all right. I'll find out and let you know though.
Okay. All right. Colts and Packers. This line, I locked this in. It's the only game we've locked in so far. Got it at 3 -115 at DraftKings. And I don't think there are any threes right now. Going to look very quickly at the grid here. I'm not seeing any threes at all. So congrats, I guess, if you got the 3 or even 3.5. I think Aton said he got 3.5 very early. So it's a great move on his part. Malik Willis is scary to bet on until you remember that he's 2-1 against the spread. And this Colts team has a ton of injuries. DeForest Buckner probably going to be out. Kwity Paye didn't practice all week. They're missing their number one outside corner, Juju Brents. They're just dealing with a lot of stuff here. The Colts team, like, they should not be 3-point or 2.5-point favorites on the road in Lambeau. Julian Blackman out too, a key safety for them. So they're really shorthanded, and I think the Packers should be able to run the ball really well. Just really take the ball out of Malik Willis's hands. We saw Joe Mixon run for 160 yards on this Colts team last week, and now there's no Buckner or no Paye. Like, it feels like Jacobs should have a monster game. And I love the Jacobs over 62.5 rushing yards. He had 84 last week in a much tougher matchup. So 62.5 seems very doable. So yeah, I love the Packers. Do you think your Packers bounce back.
All right, everyone, listen, because this is my favorite play of the week. Now, if you recall, those of you that watched last season, I couldn't handicap my own team, my own Packers, to save my life. But so far, I'm 1-0 as I picked against them, as we know last week. I love the Packers this week. They're my favorite pick of the week. I think this defense, despite giving up 34 points, I'm gonna give them a mulligan for the field conditions. Both teams gave up a lot of points, but this defense is opportunistic. I can see it. There's something different about it. I think, and everyone, I think this is for me, Walter, the biggest selling point. Everyone is going to remember that game-ending play, that Malik Willis sack. He came in for one play. That's a tall order, man. It's like you just watched like your franchise player get hurt. Hey, you got to come in and like try to save the game. That's a tall, and people like, oh, look, like he saw, like he took a bad sack. It looked like the optics of it just looked bad, and I think people are going to remember that and be like, oh, this guy sucks. Like they don't stand a chance. Like the Packers have some really solid weapons on offense. I'm not saying they have like a standout superstar, but they have some solid weapons, and I do also think that Jacob should have a pretty nice game this week. But also, I mean, the Colts. I mean, Richardson completed 9 passes last week. I'm not sold yet, and I hope Richardson does well. But I mean, how many games has he played in the NFL? 4, 5.
He's played 2 full games so far.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to knock the guy. I hope he does well. I know he's coming off injury, of course. But like we don't know, like he's still like rusty. He hasn't played forever. He's played one game. I mean, I really like the Packers here. Their defense is opportunistic to I like Packers defense anytime defense special teams touchdowns. We're talking about like Richardson's going to make some mistakes. Packers had some nice plays on defense against the Eagles. They had a couple nice interceptions. Like I like that call too. So I really love the Packers here. It almost seems too easy to me. +3 at home. Jeez, give me Green Bay all day.
I'm just glad to hear it. Sam says, I don't know, guys. I think Malik Willis is still raw, needs development, so I think the Colts might win. Backup quarterbacks have done very well against teams that don't have elite defenses. I'll read you the stats. Right now, in the past several seasons, past 3 years, I think, backup quarterbacks against teams not ranked in the top 12 are 28-15 against the spread. That includes Malik Willis's 2-1 against the spread. He almost beat the Chiefs on a Sunday night game. And this Colts team is not nearly as good as that Chiefs team. If you're wondering, backup quarterbacks against top 12 defenses, 11-20 against the spread. So you don't want to play them there. So yeah, we're definitely on board with this one, and I don't think they're going to need Malik Willis to do much. He can move, he can run around, and like you said, they have some nice weapons. Jaden Reed I think is like on the verge of becoming a superstar. Like just like what he did in that Eagles game was just awesome. So,
I love it.
Yeah, John says Love is out for sure. Correct. Let's check. He was doubtful. Yeah, he was downgraded from questionable to doubtful today. He hasn't been cleared to play. I'd be shocked if he played.
I'd be shocked too.
Yeah,
I think that would be really. I think that would be really irresponsible if they put him in. Let me just say that.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Jason saying Malik has never thrown a touchdown pass. Is under half a touchdown prop is plus money. Well, there's the first time for everything. The Colts are down their top outside cornerback, and they're down their best defensive tackle. They're down their best edge rusher. They're down their best safety. Like it just feels like he could do it. I don't necessarily think it's a great bet. But if it's plus money, I think it might be worth a shot. So I don't hate it. But I don't think it's like a guarantee or a lock or anything.
Agreed.
That says Indy had to protect the pass against 3 deep receivers. I wouldn't look too much in the mix in production. Well,
I'd argue that. Yeah, go ahead.
True. However, the Colts are missing half the defensive line now, so you have to look at that as well. And plus, Jacobs is an amazing running back. Jacobs is better than Mixon, So
agreed.
All right. Next game, Browns at the Jaguars. Browns got some bad news on Friday. Jedrick Wills ruled out again. And Jack Conklin, for those wondering, limited all week, which might sound good until you remember that last week he was also limited all weekend. He was rolled out right before kickoff. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen with this Browns offensive line because it was a disaster last week. They couldn't pass protect against Michael Parsons. The Jaguars don't have a Michael Parsons, but Josh Allen's really good. Trayvon Walker is super talented. The Jaguars are going to get to Deshaun Watson if those two guys are out again. So my pick hinges on that. Like if Conklin can play, I think I have some interest in the Browns. Although with Deshaun Watson's latest off the field shenanigans, like I just don't know if I want to bet the team. Like this team could just implode. They just really could. And there are already rumors circulating that Amari Cooper is on the trading block. So it's looking bad for the Browns. If both those guys are out, then the Jaguars look like a great play. And for the Jaguars, I was hoping that maybe we'd have some weather here, like it was like 90 degrees and humid and sunny. That would make it really tough for the Browns. However, it looks like it's going to be rainy in this game, 83, but rainy. So that'll take the sun out of it. So no edge there. But yeah, like I said, check back before kickoff, like around noon, like 11:45 to noon. See what I'm doing with this game. I don't know if I'm going to bet it, but I might, depending on what the injury status of Conklin is. So what are your thoughts here?
I like Jacksonville, and I like him a pretty good bit here. My God, Watson looked terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, and nothing inspired any. Well, I won't say nothing. They didn't inspire much confidence in me at all. This team, also like the Jags, like they really choked away a game, and they had some costly mistakes. That ETN fumble in the end zone, and then they were driving. I think it was with like 11 minutes left in the game, and there was like a drop pass. So they still had opportunities to win that game against the Dolphins. They probably should have, but I just don't see, like, I don't know. Watson looks so bad. He looks so bad. I kept like waiting for something to happen, for them to do something. You ever see that meme where it's like poking something with a stick? It's like, come on, do something. That's how I felt for a while in this game. But yeah, I like the Jags for maybe like 2 units or so. I'd say here in this spot.
Okay, interesting. Does it matter? Does the Conklin thing move the needle? Like if he's out, like do you like them even more or what?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I just don't see. I'm also of the belief that the Jags are going to be pretty good, and I think I think I have higher expectations. I would guess than most people do for them.
Okay.
So take that for what it's worth when I say I like the Jags here. So
okay, all right, fair enough. Next game, Vikings at the 49ers. We had the Christian McCaffrey news yesterday. He placed on IR, which is astonishing because we were told before the Monday night game that he could play if it was a playoff game. So the Niners are not very truthful here. He was they said calf injury, but suddenly it's an Achilles. So RIP to anyone who drafted him fantasy wise. I did not touch this guy in any of my leagues or any of my best ball drafts. I have zero ownership of McCaffrey, so happy about that. Jordan Mason looks good anyway, so even with McCaffrey out, it doesn't affect this line. It doesn't affect this result at all for me because Jordan Mason looked great. The Niners run block really well. Debo's going to get some carries, so it's crazy how talented McCaffrey is, and yet there's really no drop off here for the 49ers. So just shows you how unimpactful the running back position is. So anyway, I like the Vikings here. The Niners have some injury stuff in addition to McCaffrey. Obviously, Talanoa Hufanga is going to be out. They're still missing some guys from last year. I don't think Brandon Ayuk is 100% yet. The Vikings have some injury stuff too. Harrison Smith, Brian O'Neill, Ed Ingram are all questionable. If like 2 of those guys are out, in addition to Jordan Addison, who's also out, then I would. I don't know if I would bet this game. So right now I have 2 units on the Vikings. I think Minnesota is a pretty underrated team. I like the moves they made this offseason after like studying them. And Kevin O'Connell is just a sharp coach. He's done some great work with Sam Darnold. And, as long as Justin Jefferson's there and Aaron Jones is healthy, and Minnesota's offensive line is is just healthy as well. Like I feel like this team could be a covering machine. they were awesome against the Giants last week. They made the Giants look terrible. And I think people came away from that game thinking, oh, the Giants suck. But I actually think Minnesota is like pretty good. They just blanked Brian Burns. Like Burns was a complete non-factor. Darisaw just shut him down. And so like having that sort of protection for Darnold is such a big factor here against Nick Bosa and Javon Kinlaw. Like they're going to be able to keep Darnold clean. And I don't know how much stock San Francisco is going to put in this game. They just had a big Monday night win against the Jets, so they could be flat here, flying across or halfway across the country on a short week. So it's kind of a tough spot for them here. So Minnesota looks good, but like I said, injury updates will be huge for the game. So who do you like here?
Unfortunately, this is like the one game I don't really have a strong conviction on. I've kind of gone back and forth on this one. Originally, I had texted you that I like the 49ers, but now I kind of like the Vikings. I don't know. This line seems weird. I guess I'd say the Vikings. I really don't have a strong feeling either way. So I don't have much conviction on this one, unfortunately, but I'll say the Vikings.
Okay. John's saying Vikings are going 17-0.
Wow.
It's
led by Sam Darnold.
Yeah, that'd be quite amazing.
Yeah.
So
anyway. if you really think that, take him to win the Super Bowl now. I'm guaranteed the odds are going to be nice if you really think that. So.
He's saying that because it's the Bills draft pick that's going to be worse. Right?
Sorry, John.
Anyway, Seahawks at the Patriots. This line keeps going back and forth between 3 and 3.5. Each time I look, it's like, oh, it's 3. I'll look back like an hour later, it's 3.5. I'm like, okay. Look back an hour later, it's 3. It just keeps moving back and forth. People can't decide apparently what they want here. So it looks like people either love Seattle -3, New England +3.5. I don't like either side. I just don't know what to make of this team yet. Seattle, I really don't know what to make of this team. They struggled in the first half against Denver. Then it looked like they're going to blow them out. Then they blew the backdoor cover. They got the push or the loss, depending on what your closing line was. I am pretty confident that New England is overrated at this point just because they beat Cincinnati. They have one win. That could be their only win of the season. They're just not a good team. But I don't know how good Seattle is. So Seattle's down Kenneth Walker. But like I said, running back's not that big of a deal as Zach Charbonnet. Should do well. By the way, Charbonnet on our DFS contest. We have a DFS contest on the site, which you can find on the homepage. Zach Charbonnet, I'll give you guys a hint. He's only like 1,500, whereas like the top running back is like 10,000 or something. So that's quite the discount. It's like a free square for Charbonnet if you want to play him. So make sure you guys enter our DFS contest. It's free entry and $150 to first place. Anyway, I think I like Seattle here, but I don't have a good read on this team. Seattle has some injuries. Chenna Nwosu's out again. George Fant, I think it's going to be out again. Jerome Baker might miss this game. So some injuries here. But at 3, Seattle looks okay. 3.5, I definitely would not take him. So what do you think?
Do you think the New England Patriots and Jacoby Brissett could be the similar to the Fitzmagic era in Tampa in 2018? Like, what if they win this game? Remember that happened? Tampa won like the first 2 games with Fitzmagic, and then they played the Bears. Oh, that was a great pick. Mm-hmm. Remember that? That was they crushed them. It wasn't even a game. I could see. I'm going to go with the Seahawks here, but I'm probably not going to touch it. I feel like this game could play out a lot like the way their game against the Broncos did. Maybe they struggle to pull away, but they'd win by like 6 or 7 or something like that. I feel like it's going to be that kind of game. The Seahawks really struggled a lot more than I thought they were going to. And I think he said it best, Walt, before week 1, because we were thinking about them for the Super Contest cards, Seattle. That is, you're like, I don't know, like we just don't like know enough about them yet, mm-hmm. and I still feel that way. I take the Seahawks. I think it'll play out, like the game against Denver did. But don't forget the Fitzmagic angle. Brissett,
That comes out with that tracksuit that Fitz had.
He did the same thing in Cleveland. Remember week 1 when he was starting for Cleveland 2 years ago, and we took him against Carolina, wasn't it?
Uh,
And they covered because we put them on our card. I remember that. I know that for sure. And Jacoby Brissett was.
Oh, Brissett. I thought you meant Fitzpatrick. I was like, I don't
Oh,
remember
my
this.
bad. Sorry, I probably wasn't.
No. Yeah. No, Brissett was awesome for the Browns.
Yeah. So I mean, I keep that in mind too if you like that angle. But I'll say Seahawks here, but I probably won't touch it.
Okay. Sanchez loves Seattle here. I'd love to hear why. Cassandra, please tell us, because I really don't see like a great angle here. But if you want to give us one and maybe convince me about this game, that'd be awesome. John says, I was kidding. They'll probably go 16.
Yeah, that would be.
Kim Eagle says the Patriots play at the Jets Thursday. Seattle O-line did not have good pass protection. Not much of a push either. Walker probably out.
I got something for you then.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I didn't have much to say outside of like playing at Thursday night. Usually it's a team that's favored is going to look past a game, whereas if team's underdog, they're probably not going to look past it. So I would just say that. But what were you going to say?
I'm looking ahead to week 3 here, Walter. Okay. Let me
hold on before you get to that. Actually, I wanted to look at week 3. It's funny you bring that up. After we're done all these picks, I wanted to look at the week 3 lines and see if anything stood out. So glad we're on the same wavelength here. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So perfect. If the Patriots beat the Seahawks and the Titans beat the Jets, I love the Jets against the Patriots in week 3, barring like Rodgers gets hurt or something.
Yes.
I think. What do you think? What do you think that line would be? Like, do you think the Jets would be like -1 or something, and like people would be on the Patriots? Or we can discuss that later. But
well, what do you think the line is now? The lines are out. Patriots at Jets.
I don't know. I'll say Jets -2.5.
Patriots at Jets.
Yeah.
Jets are -7.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the same line.
Big swing and a miss there by me.
Well, it's a slightly less line of a number than it was Patriots at Bengals. You know what I mean? Like
true. But what do you think it's going to be if that scenario that I described? Like, I guess I had in my mind that that scenario that I just described would play out. Or do you think the line would be similar?
If the Patriots beat the Seahawks and the Jets lose to the Titans, especially if it's a blowout loss, I think that line could be like 5.5 or so.
Okay.
So yeah, it depends what sort of a loss it is to Tennessee. If it's a close one, maybe it's 6. But yeah, that is something to watch out for. I like the Jets regardless because Thursday night games and also London games really favors the better team as long as they're focused. And that
one's in London.
No. I'm saying Thursday games or London games.
Oh, it's a Thursday night game in London. They got the chopper waiting for him to take him over. It's like
that'll be right.
By the time you get there, the game will be tomorrow.
if they promise Goodell more money, he would do it in a heartbeat. He wouldn't care about the players at all. It's such a scumbag. That says Quacky defense start 1 Texans Dallas Philly. Who are you starting?
Well, I mean, I like Dallas and I like the Texans. I mean, until Caleb Williams. Well, I mean, credit to Tennessee's defense, but I mean, what did Caleb Williams do? It's like when you do nothing for the group project but still get an A. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And no hate towards the man. I hope he does well. You know, but I mean, I kind of like that. Watson looked terrible. I expect. Dallas defense did well against Watson. They made him look really bad. I like Dallas too. And then, geez, if Michael Penix starts, don't start Philly's defense. But otherwise, maybe not a bad play. I like the Eagles this week too. Sorry, I don't mean to jump ahead. But
okay, how dare you spoil future picks?
To just stop the stream. The show's over.
It's all right, guys. Please hit like, subscribe.
It's like this guy. He's gone.
All right. So let's go cross country. I like the Patriots. I think Seattle has done well in these East Coast games at 1:00 but that was under Pete Carroll. It's a new coach, so this is the first time Mike McDonald's going to have to be in this scenario. So just don't know how he's going to do it. Seattle Seahawks are a better team than the Patriots. Seattle will be able to run and pass on the Patriots. I think you're probably right. I think the Patriots suck, but I think Seattle might secretly suck too. That's my worry here.
They might secretly, they're still in the.
They beat the Broncos. The Broncos. I've been yelling all summer about how terrible the Broncos are, and they had trouble putting the Broncos away until the end. So
hey, hold on, don't be hating on the Broncos, man. They're good.
Yeah. So she says, I explained my Seattle pick here Thursday. My reasons are the same. The only thing is that 3.5 keep getting money, but it's just money on a number. That's probably the case too. No Walker scares me. I wouldn't be. Charbonnet is a good backup. I wouldn't be afraid. Now, if both of them were out, maybe you'd worry about it. But running back is so replaceable. They could probably just find some new running back who could be half decent. So don't sweat the running back. All right, so we almost brought this up. Jets at the Titans. This line's been bouncing back and forth between 4 and 3.5. I love the Titans. Loved them last week as well. They almost doubled the Bears in yardage, and they should have won. That was one of the most ridiculous finishes I think we'll ever see. I think like the only reasonable explanation for Will Levis's meltdown at the end of the game is that he was on the take. It's funny that I was talking to Dennis, our developer, who didn't watch that game, and he called me Monday and was asking me he's like, oh, how, because he's currently working on a contest for just premium subscribers, so he was running some ideas through me, and so in between he was like, oh, how'd the week 1 games go? And I told him what happened exactly, like play for play in the meltdown in that game, and he's like, sounds like the quarterback's on the take. And I was like, yeah, that's probably true. And I was joking with Eitan yesterday before you jumped on the call. I was like, what if in 10 years there's and you'll like the ESPN 30 for 30. Like, what if there's an ESPN 30 for 30 and it goes like, there's a quarterback in the NFL who rigged games. And so we keep betting on this guy, and he's going to keep rigging games against us with fourth quarter meltdowns. Will Levis is obviously the only thing to be worried about here, but the Jets have some injuries in the secondary. Sauce Gardner got banged up Monday night. Michael Carter too got banged up Monday night. He barely practiced, and then DJ Reed got ruled out. So or he missed practice Friday. Seems like he's going to get ruled out. So the Jets on a short week with having to travel from the West Coast are dealing with these secondary injuries. So I'm not as worried about Will Levis as I normally would be in this matchup, but the Jets are so bad against the run that it may not matter anyway. I feel like Tony Pollard is going to have a great game. I think Tennessee's so undervalued. Their defense is amazing. I think they might have the best defense in the NFL. They're just that good. They're at least top 5, I think. So the Titans, I think they're the better team here. Outside of if you remove quarterback, I think they're clearly the better team. So I like Tennessee +4 or 3.5, whatever you get. So this is one of my top plays of the week. And I love Tony Pollard over rushing guards against the horrible Jets run defense. So you were going to say something, or what do you like here?
Yeah, I like the Titans here too. I mean, geez, that was one of the worst meltdowns. That was one of the worst. Do you think that was worse than the Texans not going for the extra point? And then we had a -2.5.
This was one of the worst beats I've ever had, because
I agree.
We had the Texans missed the cover by half a point. They were favored by 3, right? And they won by, or no, it's 2.5, right? And they won by 2 because they didn't with the extra point. But Tennessee was a 4.5 point underdog, and they were up 17-0, and the Bears got slaughtered in the box score. Tennessee had double the yardage almost. Actually, until Chicago's last drive, they had double the yardage. It was 240 to 120. Chicago became so before week 1, before last week's games. I looked this up. Teams that had 150 or fewer net yards of offense, they were 28 and 231 since 1989. So Chicago just being the 29th team to win in that way. 150 net yards or fewer. In fact, I think the Bears became the first team in history, I think, to have 150 fewer net yards and to be down by 17 or more to win. I think this is like the only time this ever happened, because usually, like, if teams down big and they come back, like, they have to get yardage to come back,
Right.
So yeah, it was ridiculous. So yeah,
You know what that just made me think of? Remember 2 seasons ago, because I was very high. It was Texans versus Browns, and it was Deshaun Watson's first game back, and it happens to be against the Texans.
Yep.
We took the Texans +8. They didn't give up a single offensive touchdown and couldn't cover +8. They had like
Yep.
2 punt return touchdowns and like an interception or like a fumble recovery touchdown. Like the Browns had no offensive scores, and the Texans couldn't cover +8. I was like, are you freaking kidding me right now? You cannot be serious. You cannot be serious. That's what this game was. I just absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. That was one of the worst. That was one of the worst I've ever taken as well, I'd say. Because like I saw like the Bears like put in some points. I was like, yeah, but we got this,
I know.
Very rarely does that sort of situation go sideways. It was just our turn on the merry-go-round, Walter.
Yeah, actually, I just pulled up. I have Excel sheets of recaps of every game. So I have Browns 27, Texans 14, Houston +7. I wrote only one offensive touchdown scored in this game, and the Browns got their first 14 points off a kickoff return and a fumble return for a touchdown. Deshaun Watson struggled in his return. Yardage was 304 to 283 Cleveland. Does that sound like a team that should cover a 7.4?
Yeah. Oh God, that one's. Tell you what, my heart can't handle it anymore. But yeah, I like anyhow. Did I finish my point? I don't know which way's up. I'll tell you what. Walter can attest. My long-term memory is very good, but like I'll forget what the hell I'm talking about like halfway through it. I'm a freaking like I couldn't make it to the grocery store without a written order. God, man. All right, let's keep on. Was I done talking, Walt?
I don't know if you picked the game in. I don't pick a side here.
I'm clueless, man. I like the Titans. I like the Titans here. I mean, they really got a bum rap in that first game, man. Yep. Come on, do you think all those things are a block punt for a touchdown and the worst pick six I've ever seen in my life?
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen again. And I think, you know what? I could see this New York Jets season being like Brett Favre's last season in Minnesota. The year after they made it to the year after they blew the NFC Championship game in the Saints. Remember, everyone like kind of expected them to be great, and like they just weren't. I mean, I know it's like I don't know why I think that, but to take that for what it's worth. But like, and I think especially after it's like, oh, like the comedy of errors that was that the Titans special teams and offense there on those 2 plays especially. I mean, I think it's easy for people to look at this and think that this would be an easy win for the Jets as well. I like the Titans here a good bit. And I really like your point of, if, other than quarterback, you think that the Titans are all around the better team. So I'm on them. They made our card and still feel just as strongly.
Okay. Glad to hear it. Cassandra says those 2 safeties in the Broncos game were a massive fluke that's won the game. Yeah, they were definitely fluke. I don't know. I still don't know like Seattle. So we'll have to see. Stevenson's 16.5 rushing attempts is inflated prop. Yeah. If you think Seattle's going to win, if you think Seattle's going to win for sure, go under.
I really like that. Okay. Actually, I definitely agree. I like the under there a lot.
Yeah. I think so too. Kamiko says, "Isn't Cincinnati better than the Patriots? Why did they run and pass on the Patriots?" Well, I think Joe Burrow is not healthy. I don't think Jamar Chase is in shape, and T. Higgins is out, and the offensive line sucked, and Zach Moss is not a threat. So, there's a lot wrong with Cincinnati right now. I'll say that. And on the other side, Cincinnati can't stop the run because no DJ Reader. John says, Will Levis against that defense? I think Tennessee's defense is better, and I don't think the Jets' defense is good right now. They can't stop the run at all. They signed Lecky Fotu to stop the run. He's out. They have no edge rush because they have no Bryce Huff anymore, and they traded for Hassan Reddick. He's not playing. and their corners are injured. All three of them are injured, and they have their safety play. Like their safeties are horrible. So no, I don't. I think if you went into a bar, I said this on our call yesterday. I think if you went into a bar and there were like 50 people in there, like just casual fans, and you're like, oh, which of these defenses is better? I think all of them would say Jets, all of them, and they'd be all wrong. The Tennessee's defense is the better defense, and they're at home with getting 4. So, yeah, give me Tennessee easily here.
All right.
So he says, hey, Walter, I think Seattle is a bad team. I think the Patriots are worse because they got no talent on the team. At least Seattle got more talent to work with. Yeah, I agree with that. I just wonder, like, how much more talent. Like, yeah, I mean, Metcalf's awesome, but he has a tough matchup. And, Seattle signed Connor Williams, which is nice. I don't like the Patriots offensive line at all, so I think just Seattle is definitely better. I think Seattle's better. I don't know how much better. So, laying 3.5 when the total's only 3.5, either 8.5 is a losing strategy long term. I have to look into that. I think you're probably right. I just wonder what the numbers are specifically.
Yeah.
Pollard 2.5 carries a joke. Yeah, go over. Yeah, agreed. I didn't bet Seattle 3.5. That would be silly. Don't bet 3.5 for sure. But I don't need to tell you that. Certainly Will Levis 2024 will not be Mac Jones 2023. There you go.
I hope not. I like Will
Yeah.
Levis. I hope he does well,
Yeah, and hopefully he doesn't have that 30 for 30 that I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. John says in the last decade, road MNF teams that had to play on the road the following week are 12-21 straight up, 13-20 against the spread. Love to hear it.
Oh, good. That's some good investigative work there, John.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Absolutely. Marlo says Titans game was unreal. It was. I can't believe they blew that game. I would have been up like almost 14 units on the week had the Titans covered. Instead, I won like 3.25 units. So, like, imagine that sort of swing. Like, that could have been such a great start to the season. Instead, it was just like a mediocre start. Kimmy Knievel says Seattle will probably win this game if the O-line can provide Geno Smith time to throw the ball. The O-line has some injuries. George Fant's banged up, and their other tackle, Abraham Lucas, is on IR. So I just don't know if Geno is going to have the time. I kind of worry about that. But I could see this game getting out of hand, or I could see like this being like 9-6 or something. I don't know. I just don't know what to expect. Anyway, so the last of the early games, Giants at the Redskins. This line 1.5. I like the Giants quite a bit, and like the more I think about it, the more like obvious it seems because this line is begging people to take the Redskins, and everyone's doing it. I feel like everyone's falling for it, like hook, line, and sinker, because like who wants to bet the Giants after that performance last week? But the problem is the Redskins team is not good. They're so poorly coached. Cliff Kingsbury is a joke as a coordinator. Dan Quinn doesn't know to go for it when he's down 10 to go to 8. Like he's like, oh, let me kick the extra point to go to 9. Like he's a moron. And so the Redskins defense is awful. I've looked into this. They've allowed like some of the all-time like performances to bad quarterbacks. Like Tommy DeVito performed on like the level of Dan Marino when he played against them. Like that's how bad this defense is. They can't stop anyone at all. They have no edge rush. They have no secondary play. The secondary might be the worst in the NFL. Bobby Wagner, while good against the run, he can't cover anything over the middle of the field. And so like this defense is just horrible. Like the only thing the Redskins have going for them is Jaden Daniels plus Terry McLaurin. And that could be enough to win. But the Giants have the better defense. Like it didn't show last week, but they have Brian Burns, they have Dexter Lawrence, they have Kayvon Thibodeau. Like these guys are good players, but they couldn't do anything last week because Minnesota's offensive line is awesome. Washington's offensive line is not awesome. They have a couple of good blockers, but their tackle play is horrid. I think Brian Burns is going to have a monster game. I think Thibodeau is going to have a monster game, and the Giants have dominated the Redskins. Over the years. They won 25 of the last 35 meetings here.
Wow, really?
Daniel Jones, Stanley brought up 5-1-1 against the Redskins. This is completely one-sided in the Giants' favor. So yeah, you're getting a team that looked awful, but I don't think they're as bad as they looked. Like I said before, I think Minnesota is just that underrated that they made the Giants look bad. And really, like you could say like Daniel Jones looked anemic, and but like he was going against a Brian Flores defense that really confuses bad quarterbacks. Like Jones did not know what was happening. Like, but there's not going to be any confusion here because the Redskins have nothing going for them on defense. So like Jones is going to bounce back. I feel like, and people are going to be like, oh, I can't believe Jones had this great game. But then they'll remember that Washington's defense might be the worst in the NFL. So I like the Giants a lot. Like I came into this thinking into Tuesday, I was like, yeah, maybe I like the Redskins. I can't think of like why I would bet either side, but like the more I think about it, like the more obvious the Giants are, given, especially given that like I think this is the trap of the week for the public. I think the public is just falling into this trap and taking the Redskins because it seems so easy. But the Redskins are horrible, and I don't think people realize that they got blown up by Tampa, and Tampa sucks. Like what are we doing here? So anyway, I like Terry McLaurin over 48.5 receiving yards. Giants secondary has issues. And I think that the Redskins may have to throw in the second half. So I was looking at that. I was also looking at Malik Neighbors over receiving yards, but I like the fact that the Redskins might be trailing, and so they're going to have to throw quite a bit. So yeah, the Giants actually made my super contest card. I like them a lot here. I think they should maybe be favored here because I think Washington has a lot of problems, and I've been someone who's been like beating the drums on the Redskins this all offseason. I thought that maybe they were undervalued, but like the more I look at their defense, like the less I like them, and I think they're a good team to fade because everyone wants to bet on Jaden Daniels right now because he's awesome, for fantasy at least. But yeah, remember the Giants were 9-point underdogs against Washington last week, and they crushed them. So yeah, so I like the Giants a lot here. What do you think?
Well, now you might be changing my mind because originally I liked the Washington football team. I mean, nothing went right for the Giants, and your points are well taken that you made there, but it's just hard for me to drum up some confidence, even though I don't disagree with what you said. Now, here's the thing about like I mentioned to you and Eitan on our call last night. It's like you can tell like the Washington football team is definitely trying. Like you can tell like Jaden Daniels is out there. Like he had some runs. He had some he scored a touch. Did he have one touchdown or I can't remember. He had two. Yeah. So like I don't know. Like he just looks hungry. But at the same time, they're young and they're sloppy. Like or he's young. So like it's a little bit sloppy, and they're -1.5, and they're a little bit sloppy. Like. More than a little bit, maybe, but you know what I mean. Like trying to be nice, but it's I agree with you on that front where I can see why you like the Giants. I'm just kind of nervous, not nervous, more hesitant to pull the trigger on the Giants just because they haven't inspired. I guess like just from the eye test, like the Commandos look more dynamic because because they're running, Jane Daniels is running around and whatnot. As the Giants looked anemic, to use the word that you used to describe. So, you may be changing my mind a little bit here now, like as I'm talking about it, because like that's a good point. I think people see that too, and like everyone wants to get on the Daniel Jones hate train, and like while I do think he's not very good, but like it's easy to like Jaden Dan, you know what I mean, because he's a flashier player too. So I'm just kind of surprised they're favored here. Like, I mean, how much worse was there? I mean, I don't know. Now
you're really surprised that they're favored? I feel like I think this line is correctly priced for what the public thinks. I think the public is. I think the public is kind of surprised this line's not 3. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah. Well, now you got me reconsidering this. I don't know. I'll have to. Originally, I liked Washington, but I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind before tomorrow. You're starting to talk me into it.
Okay. I did the research, by the way. The research, and I say this as I just typed like a few things in.
So, he wrote a whole term paper on it.
Yes. Well, not this necessarily. Where is that comment? It was betting a team at 3.5. Okay, yeah, betting laying 3.5 points when the total is only 30.5 is losing strategy. So dating back to 1989, which is as far as the database goes. Teams that are favored by exactly 3.5 with a total of less than 39 are 94 and 102 against the spread. That's 48%. So losing proposition overall, but nothing not like super substantial. So you could do it if you feel strongly about it, but yeah, it will lose more often than not. But anyway, and by the way, when you said you were talking about sloppy, in my mind I was thinking the Billy Madison lunch lady is like, I made him extra sloppy for you.
Yeah, no, you kids like them sloppy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Kimmy says Seattle will probably win this game. The offensive line can provide Geno time to throw the ball. I think I've read that. So yeah, I think he corrected that. I think so too. Marlo says I would have been in great shape if the Titans won. That was one of the worst beats I've had when covering 3.5 quarters. Only trash bet I was in the Panthers sheets. Yeah, I hear you. Us too.
Yeah. Yep.
You really high on the Redskins stuff there. I was. You can always change your mind, right? Upon doing more research. Is anyone not 5-1-1 against the Redskins the last decade? Well, it just goes to show that the Giants are a bad team, and yet they crushed the team. You're right. Marlo says, as home favorites on double revenge at home, they're 20, 46, and 3 against the spread. Those two teams that need to be faded is Miami and Redskins. And so far, Miami lost. I think the Giants have some win an ugly football game and win. That's an interesting stat. Double revenge. The Giants did sweep the Redskins last year, and so Redskins technically had double revenge, but it's weird. It's like they have double revenge, but it's a new coaching staff and a new quarterback. So like, do they even remember what happened last year? You know what I mean? Like that's why I always find that like revenge. Sometimes it does apply, but then sometimes you're like. Jane Daniels has no history against the Giants. Dan Quinn has no history as a head coach against the Giants. It's a weird thing. So anyway, let's jump to the late games here. The 4 o'clock games. First one is Rams at the Cardinals. I like the Rams quite a bit. This is another one-sided divisional matchup where the Rams just have dominated the Cardinals. Sean McVay is 14-2 against the Cardinals. Now you might be thinking, well, he had Aaron Donald for those games, right? Well, the Cardinals had JJ Watt for many games. They had Chandler Jones for many games. They had DeAndre Hopkins in his prime in many of those games, and they still lost. So now they don't have those guys. But there is good news. There's good news for the Rams. Rob Havenstein is going to be active. He's not on the injury report. So even though the Rams lost Steve Avila and Alaric Jackson suspended for one more game, Havenstein will be back, so that is nice. And then I thought this was interesting. Kyler Murray popped up on the injury report. Now he practiced fully with a knee, but I kind of wonder why they put him there. And given how sketchy this injury information we've had recently, with the 49ers with this McCaffrey stuff, he was questionable heading into Monday night, and now he's going to IR. It's ridiculous. Joe Burrow last week was full practice all week, and he had issues with his wrist. Now Murray pops up the injury report with a knee, and you think back to last week where the Cardinals got off to this hot start. They're up 17-3. Yeah, they lost Jonah Williams. He's not going to play. He's on IR. But I wonder if Murray got dinged up a little bit with his knee, and that's why he wasn't as effective in the second half, where the Bills kind of took over the game and the Cardinals just stopped scoring. So maybe that's the thing, or maybe I'm just reading into this, and I really shouldn't be. But I think there is a slight chance that Murray is just not 100%. And I love going against banged up quarterbacks, but this has been traditionally a great matchup for the Rams, and I think they'll continue to slaughter the Cardinals as they always do. And I love Kyren Williams over 73.5 rushing yards. Last year in 2 games he ran for about 300 rushing yards against the Cardinals in total. So this is only 73.5, which seems wildly low. So I love the Rams. What do you think here?
I'm really confused by this line. I think I like the Rams. That we put them on our super contest card. I like them a lot. Why is this line not Rams -3? I mean, the Rams almost beat the Lions in Detroit. Is it just because people think because the Cardinals kept it close against the Bills? Do you think that's why that is? I'm really confused by this. The Rams seem really easy to me. I think they could win handily.
I think it's because the injuries, like Puka Nacua got put on IR.
Right.
And then the Rams lost Steve Avila. They put him on IR. Joe Noteboom, the backup tackle, they put him on IR. Like, I just feel like the injuries pushed this from 2.5 to 1.
Okay. I'm even with that, I'm surprised here. I'm gonna contend that maybe, even the Cardinals kept it close against the Bills. I haven't ruled out, and I like the Bills. So sorry, John, don't crucify me over here, but I think that there's maybe a chance that the Bills aren't as good as people think. I still think they're really good, but maybe they're not as good as people think. So I'm not going to put as much stock into the fact that they kept it close against the Bills just yet. Not just yet. So I think that this line is, with the injury, sure, but like maybe an overreaction to their performance in week 1 as well. So I like the Rams. We've got them on our Super Contest card, and I still feel just as strongly about it.
Yeah. Glad that we're on the same page there. G Chuck says it sounds like Kevin Dotson will play too. Yeah, I saw he was DMP limited, so I just assumed he was going to be out again. But yeah, it's a nice boost if he plays. Kim Eagles says 4 offensive linemen could be out. Yeah, but like think about it this way, and just we had a clear example of this last week. The Saints have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and it didn't matter. Derek Carr had all the time in the world because the Panthers had no pass rush. This is the same thing. The Cardinals have no pass rush. So even if Havenstein's out, if he were out, like I feel like they still wouldn't get to Stafford all that much. Now Havenstein's going to play, and that's nice. But and if Dotson plays too, like that's just another reason to like the Rams more. I might bump it to like 4 units, but still, like I don't think Arizona can take advantage of the situation. Whereas like the Rams are playing a team like the Cowboys, and they're missing all these blockers. I'd be very concerned. But it's just a whole matchup thing. John says, never heard of a knee injury playing video games. Was he Wii bowling?
I
used to, yeah.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I used to play Wii bowling all the time. Although I got into Mario Golf recently. I shot 15 under on one course, which is I thought was quite the feat. I got an eagle. I got all these birdies. I was going against King Babam, and he only got 4 under, so I really crushed him.
Wow, that's really impressive. Meanwhile, I once pulled a hamstring playing Mario Golf. What do we got next?
The Rams' backup season is good. I agree. I drafted a bunch of them in best ball. Not that anyone cares about best ball.
Let's see Blake Corum in there, baby, huh?
Yeah, he didn't even play.
Yeah, he's coming in. He's gonna big way. I'm gonna make him a captain in my showdown.
Oh God, that'd be quite the call.
Yeah, and I'll be laughing all the way to the bank when he goes off for like 2 touchdowns, and you'll be like, "Oh wow, Quacky, you knew." And you'll be the only one. And then I'll be back on here with the crown again. Thank you, Blake Corum.
You'll be solo winner in that show.
All right, let's move on. What do we got?
Bengals Chiefs. This line has gone back and forth between 6 and 5.5. Checking quickly, it's back to 6. So I talked about Burrow before. He's not healthy. He has that wrist issue. Jamar Chase is not. I don't think he's in shape. And like, frankly, I don't know how much of an effort we're going to get from him this year. Because he's like, he has to protect himself. If he gets hurt, he's not going to see the money he wants to see. He wants to be paid $1 more than Justin Jefferson. It's like, come on, Bengals, just pay this guy the money that every other team is paying the receivers. Don't be cheapskates. So if I'm Chase, I don't know why Chase is even playing, to be honest. If I'm him, I would just completely hold out. T. Higgins is out again. This line can't pass protect. Kansas City, their offense is so much better this year because they actually have a deep threat. Xavier Worthy just being on the field, he has the Deshaun Jackson effect where like Deshaun Jackson can only go deep and like teams are terrified of him. That opened up everything underneath. Like Rashee Rice is just going to have a huge year because Worthy's opening up everything for him over the middle of the field. So the Chiefs have a much better offense here, and the Bengals couldn't stop the run, so Pacheco should have a nice game. I almost bet the Pacheco over rushing yards, but that number was high, so I just stayed away. So I didn't have a prop in this game, but I think the Chiefs are the right side here. I realize this line is big, and I'd be worried a little bit about a backdoor cover. As I would really be worried if Burrow is healthy, but the fact that he's not, I think it's so somewhat safe here. So I like Kansas City. What do you think?
boy, the Bengals just could not get anything going, could they?
Mm-hmm.
And then even when they did, they had a fumble there in the end zone, and it was just like, golly,
Hudson.
man.
Yeah.
Wait, who was the fumble? Was it Steve Irwin's son?
No, it was Tanner Hudson who fumbled.
Okay.
Gesicki was the one who dropped the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, there was that. It's just everything was going wrong for him. I mean, don't listen to me on this one. I'm gonna go with the Bengals here because it just seems, I don't know, the Chiefs. It just seems way too easy, and I think I think the Chiefs could run a clinic too, but this just seems a little too easy. This seems like maybe a public overreaction, but you saying Burrow's not quite healthy. I don't like that either. I'm going to pick the Bengals, but I'm not going to touch it. I don't think.
Okay, I love how you're saying like, don't listen to me here.
Well, no, but like I mean, just because it's based on nothing is what I mean. I mean, you listen to me all you want or don't, but I'm just saying I really have no. I like the spot for them, but also like I have concerns.
Yeah,
like I think it's a good spot, but like there might be too many concerns for the Bengals that the spot doesn't matter. So, but if I had to pick, I'd go Cincinnati.
If Burrow were healthy, I'd be all over Cincinnati. It's just not 100%. It's like last year. We kept waiting for him to get healthy, and like he kept losing, and then eventually he got right. So I don't know when that's going to happen. But when he does get right, they're going to go on a tear like they usually do.
Okay, what if the Bengals are lying on the injury report and they'll be like, "Oh, surprise! He's fine," and he comes in there and runs clinic.
But they're not. So they were lying last week because they put him at full in practice, which I guess technically is true. But he was not healthy, so like they already lied, and like they still have him full on the practice report.
Oh wow!
It's not like they have him DMP limited, like
right.
Like all like full should mean the guy's healthy. Like the injury report's so broken. They're just saying how much of a participant he was in practice. I wish they would say, not 100%, or like I wish they would have like percentage of health or something. But like that's just not realistic. I don't know what they could do to fix this, but it's definitely an issue.
I also wish, because remember in the summer I was saying I was actually considering Patriots money line in week 1, and then I changed my mind last minute. You know what? I completely forgot that they were playing the Chiefs in week 2. In which case, I think I would have stuck to my guns with New England in week 1. Like I didn't even consider the look ahead there.
Yeah, I think I remember that. So I knew they were doing that. Because they had gotten off to so many slow starts, and they actually mentioned it. In the preseason, like they actually brought it up. They're like, yeah, we have to get off to a better start this year. So I thought that's why they would be focused, But
right. Yeah. Oh yeah, tough one, but anyhow.
Yep. Bengals trash talking is hilarious. Yeah, Cam Taylor-Britt is like he's talking so much trash where he's just he's fast and that's it. Well, we'll see that.
I'm looking forward to that one, baby.
All right, last late afternoon game, Steelers at the Broncos. This line was 3, went to 2.5. So the Sharps took Denver. So some handicappers are really like Denver. I don't quite get it. I maybe it's a fate of the Steelers being favored on the road. So, but it's not like a high number. It's very manageable as long as this is 3 or less. I like the Steelers, but not enough to bet them. I think it's pretty close. I was maybe hoping like Garrett Bowles would be out because he got banged up last week, but he has no injury designation. So yeah, Steelers I think look okay. I think you could tease Denver up to 8.5 if you really wanted to. I think I would look in other places, but that's really the only thing I would consider in this game. I don't have a good feel for this game. Do you?
Give me the Denver Broncos, man. I'm being serious. I like them a lot. Whose offense was worse, do you think, this last week's? The Seahawks in the first half against Denver, or the Steelers, who couldn't score a touchdown, whose offense looked anemic all preseason, and now they have to go into Denver? That's a tough place to play, man. I'm not saying, at least Denver kept it close. You know what I mean? I guess I'm biased because I always think of that playoff game where Tebow threw that, we were talking about it last night, the game winner to the late, great Demaryius Thomas. I don't know. I have a weird feeling about this. I mean, Pittsburgh's defense really showed up there, but it's like, you just can't score a freaking touchdown. Come on. And I mean, considering, think about, Bo Nix wasn't like certainly wouldn't describe his performance as impressive, but like that's a tough first start. I mean, in Seattle, that's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
And now you're, I mean, not in the preseason, this Steelers offense, not that I put too much stock in the preseason, they haven't shown me jack squat. And then they can't score a touchdown and they're favored in Denver. I don't know, man. I'm going with the Broncos here. I don't only like them a little bit, but it's just, I don't know. Something about this ain't right. I like Denver here, but not, just a little bit.
Okay. Okay. You're not alone. Like I said, a lot of handicappers I respect like Denver. Unfortunately, yeah, if you do like Denver, you're not getting the best line. You're not getting the three anymore. So maybe not as appealing. Anyway, Sunday night game is Bears at the Texans. This line was 6.5 and went to 7, went down to 6, and now it's back to 6.5. So it's kind of moving all over the place. This is the first time Houston's going to be on a national TV game under this new regime with DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud. So maybe they're going to want to show out here. Keenan Allen is probably not going to play. He didn't practice all week. Rome Odunze, he said his game time decision. So the Bears might be like the Bears' vaunted receiving core, which is talked up so much. They might be down 2 of the 3 guys. So Houston, I think, looks good here. I think, like I said, I think they might want to show out. But given how humiliated the Bears were, this line moved from 3.5 to 6.5. That's quite the move. So I don't think we're getting a good number, just at least based on last week's lines. But this line, I think, was accurate anyway, because I remember looking last week's show on Saturday. I closed out looking at the week 2 lines, and I said, "Oh, Texas minus 3.5. That seems way too low," and I regret not betting that. So yeah, I think 6.5 is actually the correct number. So you're not getting any value here. But I would lean toward Houston, but not a strong take. What do you think?
I like Houston here. I don't want to bet the Bears yet until Williams actually does something. I mean, it took a comedy of errors from Will Levis for the Bears to win that game. I mean, see, that's not very unlikely that CJ Stroud is going to have a similar fate. Like but with that said, the Texans seem a little too easy here for me in this spot. There's no way it's definitely Texans or nothing. This Texans team, they better win one at some point. They're going to be like the Clippers of the 2010s. Remember the Lob City teams with Blake Griffin, and I can't believe that team didn't win a title. So like, dude, Houston's pretty. I mean, they got like Mixon, Diggs, Tank Dell, CJ. I'm stating the obvious, I know, but they better win something, man. I'm telling you. So I think they're going to want to show out, kind of like you said. And the Bears, benefited from a lot of dumb turnovers and fluky plays, I think, to win their first game. So
yeah,
that's right.
Makes sense. Kim Eagle says Seahawks gave Denver 10 points last week. Pittsburgh doesn't make mistakes. How will Knicks survive JJ Watt? Bet the under. Denver points, if not the whole game under. The under makes sense. How Knicks will survive JJ Watt? I'll tell you, he'll just throw checkdowns, and like he'll like allow, like Bowles will give him enough time for them to throw checkdowns, and the offense won't do anything, because like any holding penalty, any false start just ruins the entire drive if you just throw checkdowns. So
he'll be safe from JJ. I think it's TJ he's worried about.
Yes,
I'm just messing with you. Can't make
I
do what you
we both made that mistake. It is 12:46 a.m. here on the East Coast.
Give us a break here.
Stanley says, I think the Steelers defense is better than Seattle defense, and they gave Bo Nix problems. And the Steelers will be able to run the ball, Warren and Najee Harris. Denver's run defense looked very sketchy with Josie Jewell gone. He was their top linebacker last year. He's now in Carolina. So like him being out I think is a big deal too. So I do think the Steelers will be able to run the ball. I will say though that this game and the last game that we talked about, Steelers, Broncos, and Texans, Bears, this has one of the dynamics I like is to take a great defensive minded coach against a rookie quarterback. So we have Mike Tomlin versus Bo Nix, and we have DeMeco Ryans versus Caleb Williams. But the problem is, like, I feel like we're not getting great line value with either. But that's why I'm siding with both these teams. I think both Tomlin and Ryans could give these quarterbacks problems. So thought I should mention that as well.
All right.
All right. So you teased this one. We kept the show going. Falcons at the Eagles. This line is this is another one where the event spread moved a lot. It was 3.5 or 4, and now it's 6.5. I think that people are looking at that Atlanta loss and kind of realizing what I speculated when the Falcons drafted Michael Penix, number 8, is like, yeah, we paid him $100 million, paid Cousins $100 million guaranteed, but he looks a little crappy throwing the ball here coming off the torn Achilles at 36 years old. So maybe we should get a quarterback. And Kirk Cousins did not have a good performance last week at all. He held the ball forever, and he just struggled with the pressure as he always does. Cousins is one of the quarterbacks who has just the greatest dichotomy when kept clean versus under pressure. Yeah, every quarterback struggles with pressure, but he does especially. Like, he just melts down. And the Eagles bring a lot of pressure. I think it's like, it's crazy. It's kind of weird that this is the third consecutive year that Kirk Cousins will be playing in Philadelphia in week 2. Kind of wild.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. So the 2 years ago, that was our big game.
Oh,
we
we
love the Eagles. Cousins had a meltdown. Last year, it looked like the Eagles are going to run away with it, but Cousins had a great fourth quarter to cover the spread. Still lost, but covered the spreads. And this is a similar line. So my worry here is that, like, the Eagles are going to be up 14 or something, or even 21, and Cousins throws 2 touchdowns plus the 2-point conversion. Of course, they go for 2 now if they go to 14-6. So that, like, I feel like this has backdoor cover written all over it because the Eagles have issues in the secondary, and Cousins has good weapons. He has Drake London, he has Kyle Pitts, he has Bijan Robinson. I feel like he could really move the ball in garbage time and get the backdoor. So that's why I'm not betting this one. If I had to bet this game, I'd bet the Eagles. But you said you like the Eagles, so maybe you can give me more confidence here.
It's based on absolutely nothing. Well, I mean, other than the fact that I think the Eagles are one of the strongest teams in the NFL this year. And, like, I don't know, just like the Falcons, I've been saying it from jump. And I have a special relationship with the Atlanta Falcons and their draft selections.
Yes.
And so, like, I mean, it's like, put in Penix already. I know. I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit here, and I understand that the Steelers have a very elite defense, but it's just like, I'm sorry, I don't think the Kirk Cousins. I don't know why, and I'm not rooting against the man. I just don't think it's going to work. I just don't, and I think the Eagles. I'm going to. So I would argue for those of you who might say, well, the Eagles' defense is much weaker than the Steelers. Fair point. But also, I don't think that they were as bad as the 29 points that they gave up to the Packers. I'm going to give them a mulligan because they're slipping and sliding everywhere. So that's got to be taken into account at least a little bit, I think.
Right.
So I really like the Eagles here a pretty good bit. I don't know. I just from jump, I just feel like this Falcons situation with Cousins just isn't going to work. So I'd go Philly here.
Yeah, I'm. If you weren't coming off the torn Achilles, I'd feel much better about him, but doesn't seem like he's quite there. So yeah, I agree. Maybe in a few weeks, though, maybe they'll go to Penix if they keep losing, because it's not like things get like a lot easier for the Falcons. Although they play the Chiefs next week. So
I was just going to say, let me bring up their schedule here.
Yeah, so they play the Chiefs, and then they play the Saints, which maybe they'll, I don't know. Then they play against Tampa, and then they play at Carolina, then Seattle. So it's like not the toughest schedule, but they could easily be 0-3 after that Chiefs game. So
but they don't really have a tough schedule. The rest of they play the Broncos. Never mind, they do have a tough schedule.
That's it. Change your whole opinion.
Yeah. I like the Broncos this week. I really do. I don't know why. I have a strange feeling about it. But that line just looks suspect to me. Plus 2.5. Something ain't right. It seems weird.
I feel like the Steelers are going to win by 2, and people are going to be mad.
Yeah, people are going to be losing their minds. Except for
Cousins in prime time, stay away. Yes. I agree.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Did you want to look at week 3 real quick?
Yeah, we can do a few here.
They're asking me to verify I'm a human, but I will just go to this different URL and it'll work. nice. I just bypass it very easily.
Let's see.
Week 3, FanDuel. All right. So yeah, Jets, as I said, -7. Feel free to stop me at all. We talked about that game already. Browns are -6.5 against the Giants, which is could be tremendous value if the Browns lose again here. Without if Conklin's out and they lose to the Jaguars and they get blown out similarly, I feel like this line's going to go to 4.5 or something, especially if the Giants win. And then the Browns will look fantastic at -4.5. So looking.
I see
this one. I
agree. I see something else that I really like.
All right, well, keep going. Colts are -2.5 against the Bears.
If Green Bay beats the Colts, and the Bears, I'll say at least keep it relatively close against the Texans, or especially if they win, or if the Bears win or cover against the Texans and the Colts lose, I freaking love the Colts in this spot.
Okay,
and again, that's assuming there's no catastrophic injuries in the games tomorrow. But, hopefully not. You know what I was thinking real quick? I want to tell you this story. What were you thinking about there?
I was just thinking Bears Colts versus Bears Titans, because it's the same division, and the Bears are 4.5 point favorites against the Titans, and they're 2.5 point dogs against the Colts. It's very weird. I don't know. The Colts are a lot better than the Bears. I don't quite get this. So what were you saying?
I remember when the Colts and Bears Super Bowl 06-07.
Yeah.
And I remember I was watching the local news. I was living at Penn State, and the local whatever news, they showed this bit that they did. They were interviewing people from this town that was equidistant between Chicago and Indianapolis, and they're like, it was before the Super Bowl, so who are you guys cheering for? You're literally equidistant to both these cities. Who do you like more? And people are like, go Colts, And I just remember there was this old guy. He goes, I love the Bears. I love the Bears. I don't know why. I just always thought that was great. I love the Bears. I'll never forget that old man.
Nice.
It's kind of what an interesting piece too. It's let's just find they're both 70 miles or whatever.
Just do a 30 for 30 on that guy. It'd be nice. Those local broadcasts were astonishing to me, because I live growing up. I lived in Philly. Now I live outside of Philly, but throughout my whole childhood, I lived in Philadelphia, and the nightly news here is the 10th story would be 3 kids were shot today. It's they just so nonchalantly. But the lead story at the Penn State local news is Mrs. Johnson's cat got stuck in a tree today, and it was so bizarre.
I know, right? I
so
know.
Bizarre. And I talked about Emily, who I dated before I met my wife. I thought I was going to marry this girl and stuff like that, but she was from Boulder, Colorado, which is another college town, kind of like Penn State. And so there nothing happens there either. And so she saw the nightly news here when she was visiting. It's because it's the same stations here. And she was like, wow, there's so much crime here. And no joke, we would keep sometimes when we had the windows open, there would be police sirens. If you have the windows open here, you'll hear police sirens probably every hour, every 2 hours. And she's like, wow, what is happening? Why are there so many police sirens? I'm like, oh, it's a normal day.
Boulder, Colorado. You said, does she know Dion?
She might know him now. I haven't spoken to her in 8 years, 9 years. I don't know. It's been a while since we've last spoken.
I gotcha.
Yeah, kind of crazy. I thought I was going to move to New Orleans, and because she's going to Tulane, I thought I was going to.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good thing Well, never mind. I'm not going to say anything.
Well, no, I mean,
tough place. I like New Orleans though. It has a special place in my heart, but it's tough area.
Yeah,
I do love it there though.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. Anyway, Texans are -3.5 at the Vikings. Seems like Vikings are not quite respected here. I think this number is a shade too high, but I'm not dying to fade the Texans, but still seems a little too high to me. If the Vikings give the Niners problems, this line's definitely not going to be 3.5.
Right.
If you think the Vikings can beat the Niners and you like him here, I'd definitely bet him now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I'm still a little on the fence with Minnesota. Still, I'm not quite convinced yet. But
okay,
I do like them a little bit too this week. So maybe that would be good to lock in now.
Well, I will say Brian Flores is probably not going to fool CJ Stroud. Eagles are -3.5 at the Saints. The Eagles, I think, play on Thursday night after this game, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see Eagles schedule. They play. No, they don't. No, I don't know why they thought that. No, they play at Tampa the following week. So, yeah, nothing to worry about here. Look ahead wise. So, if you think the Cowboys are going to destroy the Saints, Eagles might be a good value bet right now, -3.5. Because if that happens, this could be like 6 or something.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I like the Eagles on that spot. I think, especially given that I think Dallas is going to win pretty handily, and then people are going to, public's going to turn on the Saints pretty quick here, and I expect it to go up to closer to where you said, but maybe 6 or so.
Yeah, Chargers at Steelers. Steelers -1.5. I'm torn on this one. I don't know what to think of it yet.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that one yet. I always err on take the super chickens when you get the chance. They always come through for you.
All right. Well, your Broncos are 4.5-point dogs.
Against who? Tampa, the Buccaneers. I used to play this game on Sega Genesis, NFL 95. Do you ever play it? And
no, but I remember you telling me.
Yeah, it'd be like like Panthers versus Raiders, and it was like they would always, but whenever they said Tampa Bay, they said it in this weird voice. It was like Broncos versus the Buccaneers. I don't know why it was like that. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go with the Buccaneers here because I think that this game could play. I mean, Jaden like it could be a game like it was against the Commandos. You know what I mean? Another rookie quarterback on a subpar team.
Yep.
Like, why would it at home? Why would it not play out the same way? I think. I mean, unless like Denver, I do like Denver. Unless Denver beats Pittsburgh, and like sentiment changes real quick. But I find that unlikely. I think, I would say this is going to play out similarly against like their game against Washington. So a very similar situation. So
it makes sense. I mean, if Tampa beats Detroit, or if they give Detroit a good game, like I think they could, this line would be a lot higher. So, yeah, but then again, if they beat Detroit, Tampa might not be focused for this game at all. Like they could be just celebrating too much. So I think that's the fear I'd have in this one. This next game is interesting. So if Malik Willis starts again, I'm gonna like the Titans a lot because this is what I was talking about. Yeah, you could take backup quarterbacks against non-elite defenses and be great. But if you're playing a backup quarterback against an elite defense like Tennessee's, you're going to run into trouble. And Green Bay's run defense is very suspect. So Pollard is going to have a huge game here. I love Tennessee -1.5. Kind of wondering if there's a reason to bet this now. If you think Tennessee's going to upset the Jets, which I think could certainly happen, then the sign could go to 3.
I think Green Bay is going to win too. So.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. That's true. So
what about it's a Malik Willis revenge game?
That's right.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? It's just like they might have left on perfectly fine terms. It's like revenge. Like we just assume. Like
I know. Revenge. I used to love that show. The first season, anyway. Do you ever watch that show on ABC? It's
called Revenge.
It's called Revenge. It's like a blonde girl who moves next door to like the richest family in the Hamptons, or not the Hamptons. It's some like made up town, but it's supposed to be like the Hamptons, but like super nice. But like she wants revenge on this family because they basically they got her dad killed because like her dad used to work for that family, and they made him the fall guy, and then they staged. Because they didn't want him talking to like the feds or something, they killed him, and so she this happened as she was a kid, but like her dad left her all this money, and so she used this money to like gain power and stuff like that, and she was going to take down this family like one by one, but they didn't know who she was. Like she had like this fake name and stuff, and so First season was awesome just because like she like pretends to fall in love with the son of the family and like they they get married and stuff like that and like and she kind of like infiltrates this family and like just kind of like tries to ruin them like and
It's called Revenge.
It's called Revenge. It used to be on ABC. The first season was awesome, and then they ruined the show after that. Like they made her like a samurai for no reason. Like season 2, like it was so stupid. But, like, but the first season was terrific. It was a really good show. For like if you watch it, just watch season 1 and just stop after that.
Oh, okay,
like with Game of Thrones, stop after season 6.
Okay. There are rules.
All right. Panthers, Raiders. Raiders are -5.5. It's a high number for a shaky offense, but I don't know. If this were last year's Panthers offensive line, I would love the Raiders, but it feels like the Panthers should be able to block somewhat well. The Panthers. That's like one thing they have going well for them is the offensive line. I thought played really well last week, despite the 10-point result. It was just you know how good the offensive line played. This is a telling stat. So I'll give you this. Well, it's kind of stupid. I was going to ask you. So Anthony Richardson had the highest depth of target last week because all he did was bombs away that entire game. Like, and he missed Mitchell twice deep downfield. Like by far he had the highest depth of target. Like in fact, there were some games where both quarterbacks combined didn't even have the depth of target that Richardson had. Like it was that high. Who was the second highest depth of target quarterback? Hint: I just talked about this team.
Oh, was it the Denver Broncos?
No. It was Bryce Young. Bryce Young had the second. Bryce Young had the second highest depth of target last week. Yeah, he just threw horrible passes, but they're all downfield, and he had protection. Like that's the thing. Like he had time in the pocket. He just overshot his receivers by like a mile, which is like the problem. So he's going to have protection, I think, against the Raiders team. So like the Raiders, that's their strength. You could kind of neutralize it here. This is going to be another game where I'm going to like the Panthers and I'm just going to be like, I'm going to be all alone at this point. Especially if the Panthers lose to the Chargers, there's going to be no one with me.
No, I'm taking the Panthers every week the rest of the season.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it. All right. Lions -4.5 at Arizona. Arizona has nothing going on. Like, especially Murray's help and Murray's hurt. Their defense is so bad. Like Detroit should be able to score so easily here. I wonder if they have anything coming up as a look ahead. I didn't look at week 4 yet. Obviously, I will when I handicap these games next week. But seems like an easy Detroit win. I think it seems so lopsided.
Depending on what happens, I think I might have interest in the Cardinals here. I could see this being a 3-point game.
Okay, fair enough. Ravens at the Cowboys. These are two teams I hate. So the Cowboys are they beat bad teams. They beat up on bad teams. They lose to good teams. The problem is like, are the Ravens a good team? I don't know. I mean, they lost 3 offensive linemen. Derrick Henry sucks. Their defense is not the same. They are coached well. They still have Lamar Jackson. Still have good tight ends. Still have Zay Flowers. They still have some good stuff on defense, just not the same as it was. Mm-hmm. So that's the question here. Are they a good team? I think maybe. So I'd be inclined to take Baltimore, but not crazy about this one. So
I see one I like.
This one, Niners against the Rams.
Nah.
I love them. I love the Niners, and the Niners always beat up on the Rams. This is NFC West rock paper scissors. The Rams always crush the Cardinals. The Niners always crush the Rams. Seahawks give the Niners issues. Rams always beat the Seahawks. Like it's, I don't know. It's just like weird for some reason. It's always
the circle of life.
Yeah, exactly. Circle of jerks. Chiefs at the Falcons. This is the Sunday night game. Yeah, it's Sunday night game. Is this the one you like?
Yeah, give me the Falcons, baby. Give me the freaking Falcons.
Really?
This is going to play. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that could definitely change between now and tomorrow.
Kirk Cousins at night. Is that where
I don't care. This one's going to play out like that Chiefs-Colts game. Remember that one? That's what's going to happen here. Also a week 3 game.
Why would it be?
I mean, my opinion could change, but I like the Falcons here.
Okay.
We'll see. I mean, it could easily change given the results of and of course the line's going to change too.
Yeah.
4.5. That doesn't look right to me, man. Well, let's see what it is after tomorrow.
Okay. We had 2 Monday night games, so fun times. Jaguars.
The divorce package, right?
Yeah, sort of. But so the problem is it's not quite divorce package because the wife expects there to be Monday night games, and so it's kind of like, oh, there are 2 tonight. She's like, oh, this is stupid. Like it's not a divorce sort of thing where
right.
I feel like the Brazil game was divorce package because it's like, oh, we're gonna go out Friday night. Oh wait, no, I can't. Eagles are playing. It's like what? It's Friday night. It's that is NFL's mission to get people divorced, which I really think that's Goodell's plan. I'm not joking, because if you think about it, like divorced men are more likely to watch football games and go to football games than married men. So I think if Goodell had his way, he would have everyone divorced in this country.
Oh my God, man! This is next level conspiracy.
I think Goodell is evil. Anyway, but they're doing this thing I hate. So they're starting one game at 7:30, one at 8:15. Like why
are they doing that?
I hate that. Like just play one at 7, play one at 9. Like it's not that difficult. Like Monday night games used to start at 9. You could do it. Like it's not tough. Anyway, Jaguars, Bills. I agree with you. I think the Bills are overrated. Like that win over Miami, it's hard to take that seriously. The Dolphins were, I don't know what the hell they were doing. That drive. Did you see that game? That drive they had right before halftime.
I actually didn't see the game yet, to be honest.
That was so perplexing. Like they were down. I forget what the score was. They were down. They had a drive because they had to score on this drive because the Bills are getting the ball first in the second half. So they had it was a 2-minute drive right before halftime, but they kept running the ball and throwing short passes, and they weren't using the timeouts. Like they just kept the clock ticking, and Tua just walking around as if he had all the time in the world. I was yelling at the TV. I was like, "Call timeout! What are you doing?" Mike McDaniel was just looking confused on the sideline. It just seemed like he didn't know how much time was left on the clock. That was so weird. And then Tua threw these weird passes, like that pick six. He just lobbed it up in the air. Dude, I don't know what happened to Miami. I think there was more Miami being terrible than the Bills being good, because the Bills have talent, but they're still gelling with that new receiving core. They have a lot of injuries on defense. This team is not as great as they looked. And so I think the Jaguars look appealing here at 4, especially if they lose to the Browns. This could be 6. And so I think the Jacksonville will look really good at 6 or something.
Yeah. I like them at 4 too, as things stand now.
Yeah. And then Redskins, Bengals here at 7. This is all Joe Burrow's health. And usually the Bengals start getting into gear in week 3. So maybe this will be the time to bet Burrow, because if the Chiefs demolish the Bengals and the Giants beat the Redskins, if the Redskins keep it close against the Giants and even win, this line's going to plummet to 5 or something. So we could get good value on the Bengals. So,
well, if the Bengals somehow win, give me the Washington football team the following week against the Bengals.
Okay,
but we'll see. We'll see what plays out. What, you don't believe in Burrowhead anymore?
I like I said, if Burrow's healthy, I would love the Bengals this week, but he's not healthy. That's the issue. It's like last year. Remember, he had that calf, and they couldn't cover it all. First 4 weeks of the season, I don't believe they covered the spread, and then they caught fire once he got healthy. So the question is when is he going to get healthy? I don't know. Maybe it's when he's not on the injury report anymore. They put him they put him at full every day. So maybe when they just stop putting him on the injury report, maybe that's when. But it's hard. It's really hard to say. It's just don't know. Let's see. John says they didn't want the Bills to double dip. Because the Bills get the ball. They play scared. Bills are in the heads. They definitely are. Yeah. No more taking the Dolphins against good teams, especially the Bills. And also, how often does a zombie give you a concussion? That was another thing. The Tua just crashed his helmet into him. When that happened in real time, I'm like, man, DeMar leveled him. That was wow. And it's Tua just ran into him like this with his head like right into his body. Is like he just was like looking for a concussion at that point. So that was wild. Anyway, I don't really see anything that like we have to bet now. What was I saying? Maybe Eagles. But I'm not like dying to bet that one. Yeah, I'm not like there's not like last week where I was like Texans. That looks like a great number. You know what I mean? I'm not seeing maybe the Titans, but like you said, the Packers could win. But I could see if like the Packers fail us and the Titans take care of the business against the Jets, like this could be 3. So maybe this is worth looking into. Tennessee -1.5. But I like you. I like the Packers. So yeah, I'm not gonna jump on that one just yet. So
same.
Okay. All right. Anything else before we head out? Because I think that's about it.
Yeah, I guess that's about it. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully we turn things around here.
Let's go 5-0. 5-0 will be 7-3 in the Super Contest. So that'd be nice. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it as always. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. And good luck to everyone with all your bets, all your prop bets and stuff like that. I'm going to post some teaser stuff later tonight, / tomorrow morning. Won't forget this time. And last week was a disaster because my son had this stomach virus that came back. He threw up all over his bed. I could not I just like, it was just a mess. So I just forgot a bunch of stuff on Saturday. And then I got sick the next day, so it was like so brutal. So so I will remember stuff this time. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Tom, do you want to plug anything? Maybe your Twitch channel?
Follow me on Twitch. I just play Rocket League and rant. Nice. I think I'm a 7-time champion. I won my first platinum tournament. Hey, thank you, John. Appreciate it.
John. Yeah, 211 super chat. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate being on here as always, Walt and the Walter football family. Have a great time with you all as always, and feeling good about the picks this weekend. So hopefully it comes through.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go 5-0 this week. All right, guys. Once again, good luck, and we'll be back on Tuesday with the Week 3 picks with Eitan, and then regular schedule next week. I'm not sure if Kenny will be available. Like I said, he's had some work conflicts this week or recently, but he will be on eventually. So looking forward to that. And anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.
Good night.